Thank you, Sucheta.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Excellent.
Great. Can you guys all see my screen? Is it shared on your Zoom, the blue screen? Yeah, great. All right, so let's begin. We have a few more guests, but I'm pretty sure they are trying to Zoom in, log into this Zoom right now, but we'll go ahead and start. So, hi everybody, and thank you so much for joining our presentation today. The Humanitarian Innovation Design class students are going to present four teams are going to present their amazing activities and projects they have developed for the Horizon Center for the unaccompanied refugee youth. So before we start our presentations, I just wanted to kind of like briefly talk about what our class is about, what is our learning objectives, and also talk a little bit about the Horizon Center too as well, to give you a little bit more context. So in this class, these are the learning outcomes. First, we talked about the core concepts of humanitarian innovation, talked a little bit different examples, things happening around the world. Also, we did a lot of work trying to understand and utilize the participatory design methods. So we kind of use this process and remotely work with the Faros Horizon Center staff in order to create a lot of these activities and projects that we are going to share with you today. Third, the students had to design very interactive and tangible educational projects for the Horizon Center design program. So they're not creating concepts, they're actually creating things that could be implemented into a real program. And last but not least, all the students had an opportunity to teach online all the projects and the activities they designed to the Horizon Center students. So they actually got firsthand experience, actually teaching these unaccompanied refugee minors. So that's really great. So some people will be wondering, what is the Horizon Center? So back in 2017, MIT D-Lab and Faros, which is a Greek NGO in Athens that focuses around unaccompanied refugee minors, started this program thinking about how can we bring design education for these unaccompanied refugee minors. So one of my colleagues who are on the Zoom call right now, Martha Thompson and Amy Smith, did some workshops with some refugee minors and found out that there was some potential to scale up this design education in this context. So in 2019, we decided to let's start a real program. So I was back there in Athens for a couple of months, trying to kickstart, this design program, utilizing a lot of design tools and methods that we actually have at MIT D-Lab. So since then, we have been, going through a lot of different iterations, trying to improve the curriculum that we have. And through this process, we had a lot of MIT D-Lab students from MIT, Harvard, from Wellesley, all being involved, since 2019. And this amazing RISD Humanitarian Innovation Design class students also started to be involved in this project too as well since 2020. So this is our third year of doing this class. And over the past couple of years, we had amazing activities that the RISD students have created and are still being used till this very day. So I'm not joking, there are some activities that were created by RISD students that have been used so many times, and it's probably like one of the best activities that our unaccompanied refugee minors enjoy doing. So thanks to you all. So what is the goal of this program? So, we have a lot of different goals that we would love to achieve, but basically what we really want to achieve is that our beneficiaries, our unaccompanied refugee minors, to learn the design process and become creative problem solvers. So we want them to learn, I have the capacity to identify a problem, and I have the capacity to solve the problems. Not just about designing a new product, but how can I apply that same process into my life to make changes in my life? That's the real focus that we're trying to achieve in our program. And in order to do that, we have so many different things that we do. So the core concept, once again, as I said, is to learn the design process. I know there's so many different design processes out there, like there's hundreds and thousands of these things, but at MIT D-Lab, we have a more complex like design process, but we kind of our staff came up with this very simple like 4-stage design process that lets them first learn what the problem is, and then imagine what options and ideas they can generate from this problem, and then actually create and then prototype it and test it and iterate the process over and over again to come up with the most viable solution. So we are basically using this 4-stage process in all our classes, but depending on which level of classes the students are attending, I mean the unaccompanied refugees are attending, then the intensity or the complexity of the design process becomes more difficult. So let's talk about the program real quick. As I said, we went through so many different iterations to make this program very legit, and we are still like evolving day by day. But currently, this is the kind of like design process, different phases that we have right now. So up in the top left corner, we have phase 1 activity class. So this activity class is basically more about them doing some very simple day-to-day design activities to kind of like have some design challenge to solve it through a very simple design process that I just like talked about. We basically, a lot of the activities that we do in these classes are actually created by RISD students. These classes are also, taught to Red Cross unaccompanied refugee minor boys, and also at the IOM girls shelter too as well. Down below, we have another activity class, which we basically operate at the Faros Drop-in Center. So once again, Faros is the NGO that we are kind of working with. And then at this NGO, they have a drop-in center where any boys and girls can basically drop in, just like do an activity or, chill out or have fun. So it's basically this like safe space that we just want them to be, to kind of like, get some help, and then also, just enjoy their life a little bit. So in this class, we also do a bunch of activity classes. And then, once, boys and girls who are doing these activity classes really enjoy it, that's when we invite them to the Horizon Center to start doing some project classes. So that's phase 2. So in this project class, basically, these projects are not a one-day thing. They're multiple day projects. So you have like one project starting from, say that day 1, and then they usually go up to like day 5 or day 6 to actually complete the project. And in this process, we actually use the design process in a more rigorous way for them to really understand the different, tools and then thoughts that have to go through each process. The third process is the intensive class, because this is the one that you really deep dive into the design process itself. Usually the project theme is about social impact. So the students get together and think about like, how can we design something for a community, for a country, for a very more social reason. So we just recently completed a group of 13 boys and girls, all mixed nationalities, all mixed different like languages, got together and then basically did this class, completed this intensive class under the theme of creating, designing something for the homeless peoples in Greece. It was a very successful program. There's a couple of you guys that actually attended the Horizon Center, final presentation that happened a couple of weeks ago. And then it's a very successful, class. Usually at this stage, a lot of the boys and girls realize that they can do more than designing for themselves. They can think about like outside their boundaries. And then actually, this is the real stage where they have that leap, that they have that confidence that they can actually utilize the design process for something bigger. After that, we have this job training session, which is going on right now. And in this job training session, they get a chance to kind of learn, like, how can you actually work in Greece, as a resident? Because we want them to now integrate into Greek society. So right now, the program is going, and once they actually complete this program, they are guaranteed to have a legit job in Greece, so they can actually integrate into society and not try to drift away to a different European country. So this is basically the program that we have currently. So in this class, the RISD students are basically creating two things. The first thing is an activity class, material, and the second one is a project class. So to give you a little bit more context, the activity class is going to be focused on the phase one, of the design program that we have at the Horizon Center. So a one-day design challenge thing that they can learn some life skills, different design skills, and then actually build confidence and then learn teamwork. But the RISD students today will talk a little bit more about the different learning outcomes they have in their activities. The second one is the project class. So in this one, the red box is not in the right place, but isn't focusing on phase two. So it's not a one-day thing. Now they're thinking about a multiple-day curriculum where they walk them, the unaccompanied refugee minors, through the design process through multiple days, and then actually have a legit product or service or something at the end. So these are the two things that the RISD students are focusing on this semester. And I just have to say, a lot of the work they have created is like mind-blowing. So I hope you guys really enjoy the presentations. And then hopefully you guys could ask a lot of questions to the students and give them a lot of feedback. That'll be awesome. And for the presentations, there's 4 teams. As I said, each team will have 15 minutes to present, and there will be a 5-minute Q&A. For those who want to just send me a message, a chat over Zoom, that's totally fine, and then I'll ask the students. But that is it. So let's start the student presentations. Yeah, you guys know how to find your thing, right?
Don't worry. Okay.
Can we close it and reopen it? Because Carmen has me.
Oh.
Yeah, reset.
This one?
On the presenter.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us in this final presentation. We'll be presenting an activity and a project we designed for the beneficiaries at the Horizon Center. So this is our team. My name is Ivy, a junior in ID.
I'm Carmen, also a junior in ID.
And I'm Erica, a senior in ID.
And I'm Manini, a junior in industrial design.
So the slide is not. When we were looking at refugee education, we researched and realized that these were some of the pain points. So some resources are stretched, so some school experiences may lack adequate design education and creative problem-solving material. And as these students frequently travel, they're exposed to a range of curriculum which may be hard to grasp. And these refugee minors are tasked with helping their families make ends meet and disrupting some quality of education.
So reflecting on these pain points that Carmen shared, we asked the question of how can we utilize the teaching of the design process to support a confident growth mindset by presenting students with challenges that require collaboration. And our overarching learning goal for this class is to create activities and projects that convey the Horizon Center's Learn, Imagine, Create, Test process in a fun and engaging way to boost creative problem-solving skills and to build confidence.
And so we ultimately created 2 lesson plans, the Looking Cards activity and the Horizon Center Magic School project.
So the Looking Cards activity is intended for getting familiar with product and spatial semantic choices with a focus on color and material. This is a class intended for the International Organization for Migration, the IOM girls, or any 45-minute intro class level. The IOM girls are a group of unaccompanied refugee minors, mostly coming from Somalia and Afghanistan.
We use some of the learning outcomes from the Horizon Center as a starting point to design our activity. The highlighted ones are intended learning outcomes. So there's an emphasis on teamwork, healthy competition, and learning digital devices. Since the students worked in teams of 2 people to try to be the first ones to find all the colors and materials, we created a healthy competitive environment for generating and listening to new ideas. We also wanted them to develop a growth mindset, develop photography skills, and gain knowledge about AR as an emerging technology.
So we're gonna go through our written activity class structure, which follows the Learn, Imagine, Create, Test process of the Horizon Center.
So for the Learn stage, the IOM girls learned to use AR filters and some basics about photography using phones around a given prompt. AR stands for augmented reality, and these are filters that are computer-generated effects that can be superimposed on real-life images. And so in our example, we added a gray border to create this sort of viewfinder effect. And we also wrote down different prompts on the filter, like green, and then we have like the various translations beneath them. Moreover, through these filters, they learned more about like a variety of colors and materials surrounding their products and their environments. And we have a demo.
Demo of how we would do it, like if you have a red object, find it and take a picture with your phone, or you use our AR filter on Instagram. And you upload it to the Instagram account, and then you can choose a word that makes you what you feel about it. Like this color makes me feel energetic, but maybe for Erica it makes you feel cold, you know.
Yeah, they could see. And we also chose to use Instagram as a platform for these filters, as we found it to be the app that was most commonly used by the beneficiaries. And it would either already be downloaded on their phones or it would be pre-installed in the available Samsung phones, like in the demo. And this is especially important for places with bad connectivity for a smoother teaching and learning experience.
Students are then prompted to imagine and reflect on how each color or material made them feel. This allows them to associate characteristics to different colors and materials to use them in a design challenge and beyond. And here we had an example of about which chair made you feel the most relaxed and discussed a bit about the materials they were made of. We summarized the Imagine stage saying that they were all chairs, but the different materials give us diverse feelings and when we see and interact with them.
Finally, in the Create stage, we introduced the Redecker app for interior designing. We encourage the students to design their dream room with their new knowledge about colors and material. The room was a great way to exercise what they learned in product and environmental skill, but ultimately bring a combination of colors and material together to evoke a deeper feeling about space.
So for the final stage, each team would share their dream design with the rest of the class, and every student will act like a salesperson, explaining and selling their design choices with the emphasis on their color and material choices. So this gives them a chance to practice verbalizing their decision-making process and to learn how to sell their ideas to the public. And the instructors will then encourage the classmates to comment on each other's room designs and share what they like about it. So overall, we aim to provide positive reinforcement and support for each student's final design.
So for flexibility, we created a set of physical cards that the students can use when they're in person or they don't have smartphones available. The students will simply like hold up the cards. They would simply like hold up the physical card to like a material or color that they found, and then click a picture to save what they found. This could also be used for institutions with less accesses to phones or technology. But we also made those AR filters, which was a great way to introduce familiar technology in the world of AR photography. And this would be good for online learning or remote learning the way that we taught this class. And also for places that it's sort of hard to send the materials to the student. So yeah.
And here are some pictures of the physical cards with the materials and colors as examples. We included 8 different languages. We included English, Greek, Arabic, Farsi, Urdu, Ukrainian, French, Bangla, and Somali in newer versions. And we got them translated by some staff members and some friends because we wanted them to be as accurate as possible. And we wanted to be inclusive of the beneficiaries that are in IOM, Red Cross, Horizon Center, based on information we got from interviewing the Horizon Center staff members and Hiwon. In addition to learning about material and color and design, these cards can serve as a language class and foster connections with other students with different backgrounds. Once they sometimes see similarities in the word spelling and other aspects. Having physical cards is great too, because as Manini mentioned, like some people have smartphones, some don't, but having a physical element is also great to have.
Ultimately, this activity class comes with a comprehensive instruction guide, an Instagram account complete with instructions, AR filters, and a looking cards community. And lastly, some presentation slides with visuals for the students.
So that concluded our explanation for how the activity works. And after creating the activity, we are actually very fortunate to have the opportunity to teach this class on Zoom with the ILM girls. So this picture you see here is taken from our 7:30 a.m. class with 4 ILM girls. And this class is only made possible with the amazing help of Saya, our class organizer and advisor, and Chris, who helped us with translating our class instructions into Somali, which is the primary language the ILM girls speak. So overall, the class atmosphere is very playful with a lot of moving around and looking around.
Here are some photos from our Zoom class. We love this photo with one of the students capturing the color pink using our looking filters. We also added the competitive aspect to the hunting game to get the students excited and run around the room looking for colors and material.
And here's some of the other pictures of the IOM girls DM'd us through our Looking Cards Instagram account, and we created a collection of stories while they were doing it live, while they were finding various colors.
And here are some more pictures taken by the ILM girls with a focus on materials, plastic, wood, glass, and fabric.
And then finally, for the design challenge, here are some pictures from the students themselves of their design challenge room decorations.
Upon reflection, we found out what worked and what are the challenges after performing the activity with the IOM girls. During the activity, girls had a lot of fun moving around while using the AR filter and feel accomplished after using the Redecker app to envision their dream room. However, the challenges we encountered are there's not enough time, the class proceeded slower than we expected due to translation and questions from the students. It's also hard to facilitate discussion and communicate through Zoom.
Another reflection is that it's good to budget for more time than needed while teaching, since we were originally told to teach a 45-minute class, but it ended up being 2 hours. So it was also good to meet the instructor beforehand to go over the lesson plan. And finally, it was also great to include numbers more frequently, as you can see there, and gesturing with numbers, because numbers is universal while language is not as much.
So that sums up the looking activity. We'll now move on to our project. Welcome to the Horizon Center Magic School. So the students will be introduced to the world of magic, from learning magic tricks, making magic tools, filming magic videos, to hosting a small magic exposition. By going through the process of magic workshop, students will learn a variety of soft skills and hard skills that they can implement into their daily life.
So we're going to emphasize a little bit more on what the soft skills and the hard skills are. So by going through the project, the students would develop an overall growth mindset as they learn a lot of new magic tricks. And specifically, we covered a lot of learning outcomes that the Horizon Center has. For example, there is a strong emphasis on learning outcome 2, which is the ability to analyze existing frameworks and developing on it for effective idea generation. And learning outcome 4, which is positively contributing to teams. And learning outcome 5, developing vocational skills like sewing. And all of these will be further elaborated in the coming slides. So what's really special about this project is its emphasis on soft skills, or we like to call it life skills. So we believe seeing the positive reactions from the audience after presenting magic tricks in front of others is a really huge confidence boost. And it's also a great training on how to have the confidence to speak in front of others in an engaging manner. And furthermore, having some magic tricks up your sleeve is a very effective way to make new friends in any scenarios. And so we also follow learn, imagine, create, test process for the project. And now we're going to guide you through each of the steps with more details.
So here's the rough project schedule. So on day 1, it's focused on learning. So more about magic, more about their classmates, the people who they're going to be interacting with for the rest of the week. Day 2 is dedicated to skill building, sewing, and learning more of those magic tricks. And day 3 split into half. So on the first half, there'll be a lot of ideation for the tricks that they ultimately want to be performing. The second half will be dedicated to creating necessary props and their magic kit. And then we also added like an optional day 4 if needed to complete the day 3 tasks. And on the last day, the students will prepare their booths for a magic show expo. And once set up, there'll be guests invited to walk around where the kids can like perform their tricks and interact with them.
So for the learn stage, we included some videos from TikTok, a compilation of them to show different types of magic, to show the breadth of tricks and students can explore. And the second video is showing magic hacks, like showing the behind the scenes, like the illusion of it.
So in the first day, we'll split the group of students into 2, Group A and Group B, and each group will learn a different set of tricks. We created 2 magic kits for the 2 groups with various props, as you can see on the screen. And these are the kits that we made. And then you can open it. And
Coins, gloves.
okay. So within the Wizard Kids, there are 3 challenge levels. Students in Group A will learn the toothpick trick for level 1, coin through the cup trick for level 2, and a more challenging card trick for level 3. Okay. In the second kit, the Dragons kit, we'll also include 3 challenge levels. Students in Group B will learn the rubber band trick for level 1, coin disappear in water in level 2, and another more challenging card trick for level 3. For each level, we have created a demo video of the trick being performed theatrically and another video explaining the magic hack. So after the 2 groups of students learn their 3 levels of magic tricks, we'll pair up the students from different groups so they can perform the magic tricks they learn to their partner and exchange the magic hack. Ultimately, we want them to feel accomplished from performing and encourage interaction between the students. And as they learn these tricks, they'll develop a growth mindset to tackle and learn a new yet challenging skill. So this is a video of the magic trick being performed and tutorial video of how the magic work, the secret behind the magic.
On day 2, we provided a tutorial on, I guess you have to play it. Oh. Okay. We provided a tutorial on how to make a bucket bag. And the learning outcome is learning outcome number 5, which is being able to follow instructions to make an object, measure correctly and precisely. And this is using a sewing template for beginning sewing skills. And we uploaded it on TikTok to make it more accessible within class and outside of class. And these are just some snippets of the tutorial, from the dimensions to pinning it, to the sewing orientation, to the final magic bag. And the TikTok account has the sewing demos, but also the magic show demos.
So that included our learning phase, and then we're moving on to the imagine phase. So after they learn about different magic tricks and how to sew a bag, we are asking the students to start researching and inventing their own set of magic tricks to perform in the final day. So to make it easier for the students to start their research, we created a list of TikTok accounts filled with different magicians for inspiration. So we chose TikTok as a platform because this is one of the main accounts and social media platform that the students generation uses a lot, and are therefore very familiar with how it works. And most importantly, we want them to film their own TikTok videos in the end of the course, showing them that they can also be a content creator like the ones they see and admire online.
The second half of day 3 is the create stage, and they will create their own magic trick and prop. And this is just an example of how it could look like a magic bag that's fits their props and can hide them when needed.
So the final day of the magic project is the exposition day. So as seen on the left, we created a promotional poster template on Google Slides so the instructor can edit the date, time, and location. So then prior to the day, the instructors can share this poster with other students and instructors to invite them to join the exposition. And then on the day of the event, students will spend about half an hour setting up their own tables with slogans and posters to attract audiences to come see their performances. And at the end of the event, instructors will present a unique award to each student, congratulating them on their talent and hard work. So for example, this award here that you see is presented to a student called Jane for being the funniest magician. So by doing these, each student will leave the project class feeling confident and happy, and they will also have something that they can show to and offer to people in the future.
So ultimately, this class package contains a comprehensive instruction guide and material list. For the instructor to also show visuals during the class, we have detailed slides for each project day, so 5 sets of slides in total. We also created the Magic Lab TikTok account with tutorials and also a way to start like the magic community at the Horizon Center. So along with that are the tutorial videos and also the 2 magic kits that we demoed, as well as sewing templates. So that concludes the magic project, and we also wanted to share some overarching insights. So because these the users of our lesson plans would be these refugee minors, we realized that they experience lots of frequent disruptions in their education. So we wanted to really ensure that the lesson plans featured what is like really worth learning, or like what is the most transferable like lesson skills that we could do. And so we did lots of user research, talking to various design instructors, but also other educators within this field, and tried to synthesize and determine like the acceptable evidence for this. And so we used backwards design, which is a more future-oriented or student-focused lesson planning framework. And so we worked basically backwards from hard or soft learning outcomes that we wanted them to get, and then created engaging ways to foster the creation of such skills.
Another insight was that we've learned that we have to be prepared for any scenario by providing graph, pictures, and videos as a universal language for visual learners, leveraging our network to translate our class into various languages. And for the activity, we created AR cards as well as physical cards, allowing the activity to be taught both online and offline. We also created a TikTok account for magic performing and tutorial videos, acting like a magic school anyone can learn from anywhere.
So finally, we want to share our next steps. So we want to emphasize on flexibility and scalability. So for the looking cards, we want to create a cohesive and branding and packaging and continue to develop more translations to accommodate as many different languages as possible. And finally, for both activity and project, we want to onboard the Horizon Center staff with our project and also show them how to maintain the TikTok and Instagram accounts.
And finally, we want to thank the instructors at Horizon Center, Sayed, Dorcas, and Hiwan, and also some of the translators, the live translator, Chris, Ibrahim, and some of our friends who also translated different languages.
So that wraps up our presentation. Thank you all for listening. We'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Yes.
Yes, we can. Okay, slowly but surely. No, we cannot have this.
This is unshare.
It's already shared.
I think Martha raised her hand.
Yeah, you can ask Martha.
Hi, Martha.
Martha, you're still on mute.
Okay, so I just want to thank you so much for the presentation for your work. I wanted to know how the girls responded, especially to the magic program. How did you find that affected relationships between them, and what did they particularly like about it?
So how we created relationships between the students, and what was the second half? Sorry.
I also just want to know what their responses were, how they liked it.
Oh, so this project, we didn't have a chance to test it out yet.
Oh,
So that
okay.
will also be something we want to do eventually.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, thank you. Since you did have a chance to test out the other one, and how did they like that one? What were some of their responses about that one?
It was pretty positive. I think they were really excited to be using the AR filters, and because we introduced like an element of competition and teamwork, they were sort of running around the classroom, like trying to find sort of like a treasure hunt. We could hear from the Zoom lots of giggling because we couldn't see them. They left the Zoom window, but we could hear lots of giggling, and it was really positive, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I had a question. In terms of the magic demonstration, I was wondering what you had done in terms of research on different interpretations of magic from different cultures, because I'm sure there's lots of different ways. It looks like you're looking at tricks that were mainly Western sort of focused. And so, yeah, I would be curious, you guys have thought about that, or thought about as well extending it to look at other forms of sort of magic and magic cultures around the world?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question that we started our project thinking about. So actually on our day one, we had a whole like presentation talking about the different culture of magic and then how magic is interpreted differently in different locations. But then we still have the slides, but then we decided not to put it as an emphasis because of the age group that they are at. We believe that we want to like have them be doing more than having like lessons learning about it. But then
Yeah. And also for the imagine and create stage, we're sort of pushing them to go beyond the stuff that they've already been looking at. So they maybe would be looking at other maybe more traditional or maybe stuff that is more pertinent in their culture for like days 3 and day 4.
Cool, awesome. Well, we have to move on to our next presentation because yeah. But thank you so much, guys. Yeah, really awesome work. Yeah. The next team can set up your thing. That'll be helpful. Let's try to keep it like 15 minutes. If that's possible. Okay. All right.
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to present 2 activities we developed throughout the semester: Strong Wind and I Am the Sun.
Chantal, I don't think you're sharing the screen.
That one? Is it not presented?
It's not presented here. Can you share?
How do I share the screen? Oh. Do you want to start over from the beginning? Wait.
Oh, go back to the slide and then do this.
How do I go back to Zoom?
That.
Uh,
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, great. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to present 2 activities we developed throughout the semester called Strong Wind and I Am the Sun.
We are the team Shantaru, and I'm Chantel. I'm a 3rd-year student in industrial design. I identify myself as a product designer and a 3D visual designer.
And my name is Rui. I am a double major in illustration and industrial design. I identify myself as an illustrator, a toy designer, a collaborator, and possibly a friend. So to start, we're going to present you an overview of different Horizon Center programs with different objectives, which Iwan also shown previously. And for the 2 activities we developed, for the Strong Wind, we think it's going to be suitable for the drop-in center as a activity class. And I'm the Star would be suitable for the Red Cross and IOM shelter, but also possibly as a semi-project class in the Horizon Center.
All of the classes developed for the beneficiaries follow the showing process. They recognize problems through learning, imagining, creating, and testing, and develop. Eventually, we come up with a solution.
And the first activity that we mentioned before is called Strong Wind Activity, and it is designed for beneficiaries aged 6 to 10, and it's possibly going to take from 40 minutes to an hour to complete depending on the situation. So in all the activities developed, there are 7 learning outcomes which are developed by the Horizon Center staff, which we could aim to target. And in the Strong Wind activity, because the students are not used to a classroom setting and this activity is generally more fun, so we decided to focus on the 3 relatively basic learning outcomes, which are problem solving, idea generation, and teamwork.
To develop this project, we started with brainstorming sessions and intervened with research. Then we communicated with the Horizon Center staff to determine approximately 10 topics. That sounds pretty feasible. And then next we used the split method, which is sort, label, integrate, and prioritize method. And then left with the Strong Wind and our green screen activity. Here is a spreadsheet that we created. We need a lot of extra information to make sure that these programs that we created are appropriate and suitable for the beneficiaries. We filled out the spreadsheet with all of the questions, and we are very lucky that the Horizon Center staff helped us to answer our questions and facilitating with collaborative design process.
And then we decided that the activity would be based on the instruction of the students to create a wind generating structure, aka a fan, and they would compete and test out their structures towards the windmills that will be created by the Horizon Center staff. In order for them to actually create the windmill that we have created here, we need to first test out ourselves, and we found that the best way of making them is with wood and acetate.
After we test it out, we create an instruction sheet of how to make the windmill, and then we send it out to Abraham, who is the wonderful technician in Greece and help us to make the windmill.
Last Monday, we were fortunate enough to teach this activity and using the windmills created by him, which would be in our design process, the testing phase.
So let's talk about the 4 phases. First, in the learn phase, we came up, we wanted the students to learn about different structures that's related to wind. So first, the windmill, then wind turbine, wind socks, and anemometer.
And for students who are not proficient in reading, we created a video to show them an overview of what the activity would be about, and this is a snippet of it.
Additionally, we also created A4 format student handout that will be given to the beneficiary. It is simple and easy to understand, and in case of any classes where Wi-Fi is unstable, having a visual physical hard copy helps the students to still continue with the activity. Furthermore, this handout that we created can also be distributed to other NGOs around the world.
So after the learn phase, the beneficiary will get into groups of 2 and or maybe 3 depending on the situation. Imagining that they're the god of wind and they're going to try to generate wind by a structure that they would make with limited material, which is 10 popsicle sticks, 4 A4 paper, and food. In case of remote class, the student would also have to make their own pinwheel, which they would just follow the instruction in their handout and make it themselves.
In the 3rd stage, which is the create phase, the students will have 20 minutes to create their own fan model, and they will be tested out with the windmill. So when the 20-minute is up, all the students will gather around the gather around the windmill and compete against each other. There is the wooden block that is tied on the back of the windmill with a string, and as the windmill spins, the block rests up. The group that successfully rests the block to the top wins first. After we taught this activity class last Monday via Zoom, we were lucky enough to have the students give us some suggestions, and we also had our own debrief moments. So we decided to create a video for instructors on how specifically to teach the class, leading to a better understanding of the class structure. And we will also want to encourage the instructor to try this activity out by themselves before they start teaching.
So the next activity that we developed, we haven't taught this yet, is called the I Am the Star. In this activity, it is basically surrounding the usage of green screen, and we target beneficiaries aged 13 to 18. Depending on time allowance, it would take from 40 minutes to an hour and a half to complete activity. We imagine this activity would be held in the Red Cross Island shelter and possibly also in RISD. So just as the activity before, we will be focusing on learning outcomes. And this time we'll be focusing on idea generation, teamwork, digital tool knowledge development, and future technology awareness as the learning outcomes. They will work in teams and produce imaginary videos, possibly with a green screen, a storyline, using apps in the Samsung phones, background footages, and which are provided by us.
In this learn phases, we will show a short guiding video about how to use the green screen, accompanied by a hard copy that we explain in the student handout. So let's take a look.
And if the internet is not working well, it is possible to scan. I know you have, but do you have any idea how to create it? Oh my God. Yes, that's green screen. You ask, what is a green screen? A green screen is a piece of green colored cloth that acts as a solid background for movie stars who are acting in front of it. The solid green color is then substituted, or as the professionals call it, keybacked or chroma key later with various different backgrounds. Okay, so why green? In fact, blue screens are also used occasionally in the movie industry. We use blue and green screens because these colors are not usually present in the image on film. So we take out the orange. That being said, when filming with a big screen, pay attention to what you're wearing. If you're wearing green, some weird things might happen. You might even be left with just a floating head. However, you can also take advantage of the green colors that are present in the props. A green screen in front of a green screen. Now, it's your time to create something. Let your imagination fly.
Before the class start, there will be 32 footages downloaded to the Samsung phone, ready for the students to use. In the imagine phase, student will get into group of 3 and come up with a storyline, which we will shoot in a create phase. The instructors will promote them to think about ways to create a perfect footage, like angle, lighting, distance from the camera, and etc.
So the first task in the
tutorial will be presented an example that shows a simple way of using the.
Yes, so before they actually do the task, the instructor would be showing them a tutorial of how to use the app, which is free and downloadable in the Greek region called Power Director. And they're going to use this to key out the green background that's going to be in their footages. So the first task is going to be creating videos using the footage that we provide us, just to practice with green screen usage.
This is an example of what we made using the Power Director. We also have a QR code on the lower right, so feel free to scan it if you want to take a look at it. And if time permits, the beneficiaries can use the class and move on to the next phase, which is to create a WhatsApp sticker, or AKA a GIF. We will use the app called sticker.ly, which is also free and downloadable in the Greek region using a Samsung phone. And they will be promoted to create at least one sticker featuring each person in a group in the given 20 minutes. Just like the previous task, the instructors will be showing a 1-minute tutorial video over here. And then the tutorial can be accessed by scanning the QR code as well.
So in the test phase, they will be exporting either the video they created earlier or the GIFs to WhatsApp on the Samsung phones, sharing it with each other, showing off, and just having fun.
We also reflect ourselves after we finish this activity. So we want to start, we hopefully can have this activity be taught in the summer in the next few weeks. And we summarized a few points to pay attention in the upcoming instruction sessions. First, we need to make sure both the students and the instructors can hear us, and because audio is an essential factor when teaching remotely. And hopefully the intuitive video contents and other teaching materials can be downloaded in advance on their side so that we can control remotely via Zoom, reducing delay due to internet speeds.
Additionally, we would like to provide a cheat sheet for the translators, so that they have an idea of what to translate during the class. Also, if possible, earpods and microphones, which are wireless, would also be helpful so that when the translator is walking back and forth in the room, they are able to also hear us at the same time. And last but not least, always checking and confirming advance is essential. So if you have a chance to try out creating stickers, feel free to use them in your everyday conversation.
Thank you for your attention.
Do you have any questions? Stop sharing your screen. Questions, anybody? Oh. Sorry.
Also, sorry if you couldn't hear me because I was on the other end of the room.
Big
Hopefully
thank
it
you
came
to
across.
Dorcas and Bamian to help us with the activity class.
Yes, thank you for all the support.
Sujata said, this is good. Helps bring build curiosity, does not have language accessible issues, and great tutorials. Amazing.
Thank you.
And Saye, will you be doing this activity at IOM next week?
I cannot say about next week yet because they will come here.
Okay,
Yes.
but hopefully soon. Any questions from the students? I have a bunch of questions, but I'll ask those after class.
Okay.
Yeah, great job. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Move on to team three. This is the one, right? No. Yes. Share sound is what you want to click. Oh, and then when you want to like show this stuff, I think you have to stop sharing it. Your screen. Sorry, maybe not. No, let's try that.
Oh, hi everyone. Is everyone seeing the screen okay? Okay, so this is Team Talk. We are Helena, senior in ID.
Name junior in ID.
And we are Team Talk. We created our name based on the first letter of our last name. So quick overview about design process. All projects are designed based on the DLab and Horizon Center's learning outcome and their series. And this is the design process that DLab has already concluded. Learn, imagine, create, and test. All classes are designed based on the 4 phases. And here are the learning outcomes, the 7 learning outcomes that Horizon Center provided. Each of our class chose 1 to 2 learning outcomes to focus on. And this is the Horizon Center design program. As we mentioned before, the activity class will basically focus on the phase 1, and the project class will focus on the phase 2. A quick overview of our design process. We also follow the learn, imagine, research process to design our own classes. We have the opportunity to interview the instructors in Horizon Center. And after that, we concluded some key insights that we really want to include in our course designing process. First are some pain points. Consistent participation from the students is usually a problem. Also, limited activities that involve new technology. Students anticipate practical use from the class. Also, we should consider different language abilities of the students. And apart from that, there are some pressure points. Fun and interesting activities are always encouraged. Crossing cultures and language barriers are things that's important.
Also, for the classes, they have to be culture appropriate and they have to have short and clear goals. Taking the idea, we designed our 2 classes. So we're now gonna present our first activity class called animal mixing. So in this class, students will create an animal character based on their imaginations. And in the end of the class, they'll be able to play with their character using the mobile application called Play-Doh Touch-Up. So quick overview of this class. This is an hour-long activity class, and this is specifically targeting students in drop-in center. And because those students are very new and not so familiar with design processes, our primary goal of this activity class is guiding the students to the learning of this design processes. So we have prepared 4 materials for this activity class. There will be animal graphic cards, student worksheet, class slides, and instruction guides for instructors. They're already shared with the staffs in Horizon Center, and they're all designed to fit in A4 size paper so that they can be printed out anywhere when there's the class. Other than those core materials, there are 3 more materials that instructors need to prepare for this activity. They will need the modeling clay so that like students can physically build the character they have designed. And also they will need white paper, which they will use as a background when they're scanning their model character using their phone. And lastly, they will need Samsung phone that has Play-Doh Touch-Up in it. And because this class is following D-Lab's design processes, this activity is divided into 4 parts. First part is learning part. They will look into existing animal character examples from mythical tales related from their cultures. Second, they will go into the imagine part, which they will play the animal mixing activity, and we will share more details about it later. And last 2 parts will be the create and test parts. So students will individually create their own character and make it physically, and then like digitally interact with it using the Play-Doh Touch-Up. And now we will go into the details of the syllabus.
Yeah, so in the learning part, the students will learn about mixed animal trait by looking at the mythical creatures. And we found out that it is really important to use the mythical creatures from their culture to have a more attention from the students. After that, the students will group into 3 and 4 to do some quick exercise for imagine part. First, students will get deck of cards consisting 10 of each head, body, and tail cards. The camera is and then one environment card will randomly given to students in a group from the instructor. After they receive environment card, they will individually create their own creature based on the environment card. On the table. When they're done, they will share why they made their creature according to the environment to their group members. After the quick exercise, students will basically do the same thing, but this time, instructor will provide a worksheet with few questions for students to think more about their creature. With the worksheets given, students will choose favorable environment card and create a new creature based on the environment. Next, they will now create a sketch model with Play-Doh based on the card they mixed. And this is the example that we made. And they will import their model to the Play-Doh Touch app, and students can interact with it and have more connection and fun with their creature.
So from this activity, we are expecting 2 major learning outcomes. First, by playing these animal activities and creating their own character, they will be able to learn how to generate ideas from their imaginations. And also by digitally interacting with their creations with the mobile applications, they'll be able to do some of digital collaborations. To come up with this activity, we went over 2 rounds of user testing. First was done as our group to test the concepts and contents of this activity. And second round was done with our classmates to test the flows of this activity and help us a lot to come up with the final design for our worksheets. And on May 9th, we could lead a Zoom class to teach this activity. And there were total 8 students from the drop-in center, and they were all male students aged ranges from 8 to 16, and they were mostly coming from Afghanistan. And because there were language barriers, while we're leading the class by giving the instructions, Dorcas and Benjamin was there to help us for translations and distributing the worksheets and materials. And after the class, as a group, we came up with the 4 reflection points that we have learned. First, always check the material availability. Because the Play to Touch app wasn't available in the Greek App Store market, they had to go through very long and complicated processes to download the app. Second, limitation in choices is necessary. At the beginning, we allow students to freely pick their own environment card as a group. But for smoother transitions of the class, it was better just ask instructor to choose one. And 3, always be flexible with time by giving enough time for students to have the translations and discussions. And lastly, adding direct instructions on slides is always helpful so that they can go over the instructions when they feel lost.
Okay, so our another class is project class called Future Book. During the RISD class, our professor Hyewon mentioned that when he asked Horizon Center students, what do you want to be in your future? And they mostly like to reply, I don't know, or nothing, or I don't even know what to do for tomorrow. So we thought, how might we guide students with their next step in life after their long journey to Greece? And came up with this idea of Future Book, and it is creating less than 2 to 3 minutes via video of their future. And our mission is to make students imagine their future as positive and fun as possible. The name of Future Book is derived from Facebook because it's the social network service that most of the Horizon Center students uses. And like I said, the Future Book will be project class, and the class will be 2.5 hours for 5 days. And it could be taught in person or remotely. And our target group is advanced students in Horizon Center. And our goal is to encourage students to imagine and explore future life with emerging technology, which is VR. And we have a lot of course package to provide. One is instruction guide for Horizon Center teachers and printable instructions, video tutorials, example videos for students. And of course, class slides will be provided, and in-class worksheet will be provided also in order to guide through the students while they are actually working on the storyboard with their future.
So also we followed the Learn, Imagine, Create, and Test phase for our 5-day project class. The first day will basically get students hooked on VR, introducing the implications of VR. The second day will be the actual imagining the future day. They'll create their storyboard. The third day, they will learn how to do video editing using the green screen activity. And the fourth day, they'll actually begin creating these videos and convert it to VR. The fifth day, students will gather together and present their work. So let's look in detail. The first day, we'll use this kind of test set. We'll use this kind of process and we'll provide some different VR videos around the world for students to experience. And here's an example. We'll also talk about the implication of VR. And the second day, students are actually beginning to think about their future.
We did some user tests to figure out the orders of the factors they need to consider to imagine the future. And this is a visual guide. Like this. Apart from the visual guide, students will be given physical handouts with interview questions, with some also illustration for those students who have some language barriers. Students are paired up with their partner, and they will be able to interview each other and present to the class about their future. After that, they're going to create a storyboard by their own. Towards the end of the class, students are able to cut out all the storyboards and rearrange them according to the video they want to create. And the third day, we'll teach students how to do video editing with the green screen activity. Thanks to the tutorials from Rui and Chantel team, we will present the video and then give them a short exercise using the superpower effect video to help them learn green screen. Physical worksheets for power directed and pixel apps, which are the two major apps we use for the green screen and the free media app, will be handed out for students so that they have a easy worksheet. The fourth stage, students will actually work on their project. We'll teach them how to convert the videos to YouTube into the VR format. Also, their worksheet. And here's an example of our future videos created by Mingwu. Don't have time access. Okay, we'll show it later. And the fifth day would be the presentation day. So as we mentioned before, we were inspired by the format of Facebook, and we created a forum-like format called Future Book, and students can leave stickers and comments down below each student's work.
So from this class, we are expecting three major outcomes. First is having a growth mindset. This class will encourage students to think positively about their futures, and then the process of it, they will be able to develop self-awareness and possibilities in the future they can develop on. Second, they'll be able to learn emerging technologies through VR-related activities and classes. And as a result of that, they will be able to grow digital proficiencies. Also, they will develop the collaboration skills by helping each other to prepare and film the videos. And then also in the process of helping each other and interviewing each other, they will build the empathy and the sense of community. And for the conclusions, as a group, we figured that there might be three more steps that we need to work on more. First is like add more graphics into the animal mixing card to come up with more possibilities of the outcomes, and also modify class slides and add more video tutorials, as many of students in Horizon Center are visual learners. And this is all we have prepared for today, and we like to thank all these staffs in Horizon Center, P1, and classmates who helped us to come up with these designs. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Oh, Martha has her hand raised. Yes, Martha.
Thank you so much to the group for your presentation. I thought it was really interesting. I really liked the combination of in the Play-Doh activity of the physical sketch model and then being able to use it on the phone. So, and I thought the learning that you articulated was also obviously well thought out. So again, I'd like to ask, what was the reaction of the students in the class with the Play-Doh activity in terms of how they engaged with the activity?
They're having fun during the learning part, and while they're actually mixing the card, they lost their attention a little bit. But thank you to Dorcas and Benjamin. They really tried hard to keep their their attention, and they really liked playing with the Play-Doh. And actually, when we introduced the app, the Play-Doh Touch app, then they're really having fun with it.
Mhm. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? I personally think the second activity, where it focuses around having them thinking about their future, is very, very interesting and a very good learning for them to do. Because oftentimes they are not in a stable situation, not really knowing what's going to happen in their lives, and just like having them think about it through an activity, I think that's really, really great. I really hope we can try this activity out and then, see how they respond to, but I think it's going to be very, very positive. And I really like the fact that, we are trying to use the Samsung smartphones in different ways because currently we're just using it as like a Zoom, call medium, right? Yeah, but how can we bring in more content onto these digital devices that we could not just use in our center, but it's a lot more easier when it's a digital content to distribute to other places, right? So I think that was a very also cool thing to see as well. Any last questions? Dan said, great job.
Thank you.
All right, great. Let's move on to the next theme. Make sure you click on the share sound to your play videos.
Hi, can you hear us? Anyone? I'm not sure about
Yes, your voice. Yes.
Oh. Can you guys see the screen? The team introduction slide? Okay, great. Yeah. No, sorry.
Hi, everybody. We are Team XYZ, and this is our Humanitarian Innovation Design class projects. Okay, so This is Echo.
I'm Michael. I'm a junior in ID.
I'm Jasmine. I'm also a junior in ID.
I'm Jenny. I'm also a junior in ID.
And I'm Yaven. I'm also a junior in ID.
So our project goal, we aim to create hands-on activities and projects that will enable the beneficiaries to learn problem solving and design thinking skills. We hope to make them more aware about relevant trends and emerging technologies so that they can stay connected with the world around them. Our design strategy is based on the Horizon Center's design process and technique. So we use the Learn, Imagine, Create, Test design model to create our project and activity. And we also implemented this process into the activities and projects themselves. So Land of Adventure is our activity, and our project is called TikToker 101, and you will see why in a second.
So our first activity is called Land of Adventure. The activity class is designed for beneficiaries in the drop-in center who are not very familiar with the class setting and YouTube design field. And we want to immerse them in the very fun learning environment by providing them the VR headset and the interactive VR videos. And by using the VR experience, they will gather knowledge of emerging technology and the current use and possible future applications. So I will briefly talk about how we're gonna implement the class. So at the learning stage, the instructor will split students into multiple groups. So ideally, each group will have 3 to 4 students to work together. And instructor will then hand out the booklets and basic material kit to them. So this is the booklet we designed, like for the 4 different biomes. There are many different illustrations and images, because images are universal language for them to understand. And each booklet has a animal character we call bio buddy that lives in the coordinating environment. And we use the storytelling way to introduce students the characteristic of different environments. So as a imagine stage, students will use the VR headset to watch the VR video. We have the QR code for them to scan on the booklet, and then they will discuss with their group about what they found and what they can build, what kind of house they can design for their bio buddy that are suitable for them to live a better life in this environment. And yeah, and if they want, they will also do some sketches on the empty page of the booklet. So then it's the creating stage. Students will use the basic materials and also special materials they chose to build the house they designed. Also, the instructor will provide them a platform with a backdrop that of course matches the biome they chose. And at the testing stage, students will share their work with the class and discuss the material choices and why their design will be perfect for their bio buddy. So these are all the materials we prepared for the instructors to use. Like we have the instruction guide and also tutorial videos for students to know how to use the VR headset. Yeah.
Okay, so before we taught the beneficiaries at the Horizon Center, we did some in-class testing with our peers, where we walked them through the activity and had them build their own prototype, going along with the rainforest booklet. And we got very helpful feedback about how to teach it, what to add to the activity, things like that. And then we went along and taught the boys at the Horizon Center with Dimitri as our instructor. And yeah, it was a pretty insightful experience. We taught 2 different groups of boys, and they seemed to have a lot of fun looking at the VR headsets. They were like looking all around, and there were some challenges though that we faced. For example, the connection issues at the Horizon Center, and also, you know, with the cameras on and stuff, it didn't work out that great. But we got some fascinating results. So the boys were able to make some pretty interesting prototypes with the materials provided at the Horizon Center.
So as Jasmine mentioned, we did teach this activity. As Jasmine mentioned, we did teach this activity twice. The first one with the Red Cross boys group, and the second time at the Horizon Center with a group of boys. And we just wanted to share a few reflections on what went well, what didn't go well, and what we would change moving forward with it. So the first thing was the importance of creating an environment from the beginning of the class and setting a tone, which is filled with enthusiasm, because you know, these boys tend to get distracted really easily. So as instructors, it's our role to enable this environment, which is also of mutual respect and also of fun and collaborative energy. They do get distracted pretty easily, so it's important for us to constantly intervene and just maintain the energy in the room. Teaching remotely has been pretty hard for us because we were remote and we were also collaborating with an instructor who was in person. So while we thought that this sort of hybrid format would act as an additional resource, it was almost like a distraction, especially with the poor internet connection. So that was a really interesting learning experience for us, and we would like to sort of change our approach moving forward. So then these are a few things that we would like to do differently. We would like to understand the needs and sort of likes of our demographic better before sort of diving into it, and having better communication with the Horizon Center instructors who are in person interacting with these beneficiaries, and have sort of create ways to reduce distraction for these learners so they can actually focus on the activity. And since there are multiple stages to it, sort of having a clear path, because they did, when we did it the second time, we sort of did try to implement some of these things, and it did work out very well, where they were able to sort of create innovative designs and actually go through the whole process of the activity. So yeah, these were the 2 learning outcomes we were trying to sort of design for, which is problem solving, where the beneficiaries learned how to design based on the specific user's needs, and also dealing with emerging technologies, where they learned how to use VR headsets and watch 360-degree videos to also then implement their observations and knowledge into the designs and prototypes that they made.
So our project is called TikToker 101, but it is mainly a ring light making project, since ring lights are really trendy with like the influencer culture and TikToker culture. So the target students for this project class are students who have completed 3D modeling, 3D printing, and soldering skill classes. It's a 4-day project, and the learning objectives that we focus on will have participants like develop basic competency in a diverse range of essential technical skills to help them with like vocational training and leading to employment. And then participants will have knowledge of emerging technologies and their current uses and possible future applications. So taking good quality pictures of our food, our environments, and faces is part of our daily lives. Lighting is a very important aspect of taking good pictures, and that's where a ring light can help. The purpose of a ring light is to provide bright and consistent light. So our ring light is based on like the full size one we have right here. It's just a miniature version. Each student will have their own by the end of the project. So day one covers the introduction, the learning phase, where they will learn about ring lights, electronics, lighting, and be able to create their own ring light based model on CAD software. And start the 3D printing process. Day two would cover soldering all the LED strips, and preparing the diffuser. Day three, spraying the metallic finish on the inside of the light, assembling the different parts, sewing the elastic band. And day four is finishing all the assembling and testing it by having beneficiaries create their own TikToks.
So the first one is learning stage. So we will start by giving the learners a problem statement, like context to like think about how you can take a better photo or video under a bad lighting. And then they will imagine different ways to solve this problem. And then it's imagine stage. So we'll give them about 10 minutes to discuss some questions like how do you imagine the ring light will be like, and what components you wanted to have, and how to diffuse the lighting, etc. And then it's the create stage. So we actually choose the 3D builder as the 3D modeling software because it's a free software on like Windows laptops, so all the kids they can get access to. And yeah, here's the tutorial video we filmed, like building the whole ring light using 3D builder. And then it's the phase two of the create stage is to prepare for installation of electrical components. We also filmed a tutorial videos by like how to cut all the light into small strips and then how you connect them with soldering. Yeah, there's an example over there. Okay. And then the third phase of the create stage is to 3D print the case, the whole case, and then preparation of the surface. So we tried out like metallic spray, and it works very well in like diffusing light and makes it brighter. So the beneficiaries still will use like blue tape to cover the other parts, and then use metallic spray to spray the inside of the case. And then the fourth phase is preparation of the diffuser. So we also tried on many different materials like tracing paper, lamination, and then we finally go with acrylic sheets. And since it's like very thin and it's they can just cut it with scissor, very easy to cut, but it has a very well done finish. And they will use super glue to just simply glue the diffuser onto the case. And finally, it's the final assembly. So the beneficiaries, they will also learn basic sewing skills. They will cut the elastic band into the size they want on their phone, and then they will sew the elastic band on. And finally, testing stage, the learners will create a TikTok transition video. So we'll also have a example showing them how the transition video look like, and give them an example, and they can use their ring light to create their own transition video. And finally, they'll share that. Okay, yeah. So when we are doing all the prototypes and trying out, we found that like it might be kind of confusing for the whole electric circuit, how it goes. And that's why we have this diagram clearly showing how to connect the electric circuit. But we also have the tutorial video showing as well. And we made many iterations and prototypes, trying out different materials. And we also have by like creating the 3D modeling, we tried out different slots for the elastic band on different positions to better fit on the phone, and different diffusers and different sizes as well. Yeah, and yeah, so this is our final high fidelity model, and it fits well with any phone model. And on the back, there is a battery case. You can easily open it and change the battery. And we chose to use a coin battery because it's easily found in grids. And we also did usability testing with multiple friends in different environments, and they all found that the ring light really works well. And as you can see on the before after comparison photos, like the ring light really makes a difference. And since it's portable, it's easy for them to like put it in their pockets or bags and carry it around.
So these are the materials that we will be providing for this project, which is the materials list for the instructors to have ready, as well as an instructor's guide, which has detailed instructions on how to go about the class, as well as the materials required and YouTube tutorials for the various steps. So the learning outcomes that we hope to achieve from this project is really working on their technical skills, such as soldering, 3D modeling, and sewing and model making, and also for them to understand the use of emerging technologies by using a 3D modeling software, understanding how to create a circuit, and also working with the current trends, such as on TikTok. So from designing our activities and project, we have a few key learnings we would like to discuss that we as a group feel we've learned, such as designing specifically for our user. So keeping in mind their skills, interests, and available resources, such as when we were making the ring light, we had to take into consideration what kind of 3D printers they have, what kind of resources are available, what kind of skill levels they have, and then plan our project based on that. It's also important to provide a link between the designers, instructors, and learners by providing them visual resources and guides, and also having clear communication. And we learned it's important to use standardized materials that are cost efficient and also easily available globally. And also how design can be a really important tool in boosting confidence, as once you have the skills, you know, you can create things on your own and be ready for the real world. So we would like to end by thanking the whole team of the Horizon Center, as well as Yuan and our classmates for their support. And we would love to answer any questions you have.
Questions? Any, Sucheta? I just wanted to say that, you know, I mean, all you guys are amazing work. This team was really focused on the product aspect. I know it's really, really hard to come up with products, especially two products, which are pretty good. And I know like how many iterations that you had to go through to make it actually work. So thank you so much for putting all that effort in making it. I think one of the ring light is a really great example, because one of the things that, you know, we all talked about was that, is this trendy enough? Is this something that these unaccompanied refugee minors want to take home? Is really, really a big, you know, that basically defines success and failure in many of our classes, right? Yeah. Because if they see something at the end, like, you know, the beginning, like, oh, I can take something that I can actually use and I'm proud of, and it's like really cool, you know, there's a highly chance that they will actually stick around class and learn more. So I think this basically kind of like checkboxes that, you know, pretty easy, but also like going through so many different iterations to kind of figuring out, you know, like, how can we utilize whatever the Horizon Center has, you know, and then make something out from it. I think that was one of the biggest challenges that you guys had to, like, you know, overcome. And I think you guys did a great job doing that. you know, like if we were just here using materials at RISD or in the US, like ordering stuff from Amazon, I'm pretty sure we could have made something that's really flashy, really amazing, even like look a lot more modern and all that kind of stuff. But we had that constraint of using these really old 3D printers, you know, only using these particular filaments, you know, don't have a circle cutter, don't have this, don't have that, and then try to like figure out, you know, what's the best combination for the stuff that we have in the Horizon Center. I think that was really challenging, but you guys really, you know, nailed it. This thing is, I think, was something that, you know, I saw like, wow, this team is really thinking about the usability, like how they can learn easily on doing things. This is actually a sketch model just on that paper cardboard. But one of the challenging thing was to not just cut out these LED strips, but how can you solder each one of these so you can connect it and make it into a circle was very challenging. So from having it like soldered like when it was inside the case versus creating like a thin plastic sheet where you can put things on and then solder it, I think that was a pretty innovative way to do things. So yeah, I'm really happy that you guys, you know, went through a lot, you know, to kind of figure this out. And I think it's going to be a pretty awesome project over at Faros Center. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm excited to see students get a chance to work across I feel that when you're getting feedback, being able to respond to that, that's really your that's another. Especially when you design for
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great job, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so thank you all for, you know, coming to, you know, our final critique. It was really amazing that a lot of you guys, we had so much support like during the semester from so many different people, not just the Horizon Center staff, but we had a lot of guest lectures, like, you know, you guys remember Susie, Hannah, like Roy, you know, thank you so much, guys. And all those who participated in the final critique session too as well. So thank you. Okay. And yeah, whoever has a question, please, you know, email me. I will forward it to the students, and then you will have your answers. And this Zoom video will be shared, with other colleagues and friends for them to also watch as well. So once again, thank you all. I'm really happy that you guys created some amazing activities and projects, and the Horizon Center staff and I are looking very forward to try to adapt some of these, into our Horizon Center program. So hopefully, when we do that, we will definitely update you on how it goes. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Bye, Jenny. Bye, Sucheta.